Every day, you follow a pattern. You wake up, eat breakfast, go to work, and then go to bed. It might differ slightly, but it's part of who we are. Animals that follow a pattern. Sometimes it's different. You might skip breakfast, or you might change your route to work. But in the end, we do find our comfort in the familiar. That's what patterns do to us. It gives us a familiar. But what if one day you arrive to work and it's different? What if it aesthetically looks the same, but has a different hue, a smell, or a feeling that wasn't what you would expect? What if the expectation changed into something else and there was nothing you could do about it? What do you do then? My name is Ellie, and welcome to this Tales of Two Cities special episode.
Hello?
Welcome. This is Friaz of the Two Cities.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Before I begin, I would like to thank Care Of for sponsoring this episode. Care Of is a monthly subscription vitamin service that delivers completely personalized vitamin and supplement packs right to your door. As you all know, Nikki and I work several jobs and work on this podcast at the same time. So finding time to get proper nutrition becomes not really a priority. With this website, you can build a vitamin routine that is just for you and your health goals. Like, if you want stronger bones, that's great. They do that. If you want to work on your stress level, they do that too. They have so many options, and you could choose several of them or just one. It's really up to you. But this is the thing that makes it amazing. They also offer vegan and vegetarian options. Nikki and I are both vegetarian and vegan, so we both know how impossible it is to find a vitamin that follows our dietary needs. Knowing that what you're eating doesn't hurt anyone else is really a plus. One of the reasons why I really like this company is because a portion of every sale goes to the Good Plus Foundation, which provides expectant mothers in need with valuable prenatal vitamins. It feels good to know that my money is actually going to something that benefits the community because, as we all know, sharing is definitely caring. Also, Care Of delivers daily vitamin and supplement packs customized to your recommendations to promote personal health and wellness. I mean, now you're consuming something that you actually need, not something that comes extra with your vitamins. They also figure out what you need through an online quiz. It's actually really easy, and they ask you questions that aren't overwhelming or overcomplicated. I answer questions like, are you a vegan, and do you do high-intensity exercise? Care Of's fun online quiz asks you about your diet, health goals, and lifestyle choices. It takes only 5 minutes to find out what your personally scientifically backed vitamin and supplement recommendations are. I did it, and I got recommended vitamin C, magnesium, and veggie omega, which would help with my brain health, my sleep, and just because I exercise a lot. Take advantage of this month's special New Year's offer for 50% off the first month, the personalized Care Of vitamins. Go to takecareof.com and enter the code 2citiespod50. That's go to takecareof.com and enter the code 2citiespod50 for 50% off your first month. All right, thank you, and now back to my episode. Bold Street in Liverpool, England is like any other street in Liverpool. New shops crowd the narrow road, and tall, older buildings lure overhead. It's still a lively area, with the streets switching off from residential brick roads to standard automated concrete paths. Despite the city's many years, it continues to thrive and stay alive. People stop, meet for coffee, and enjoy the day. It's a city where people truly live. The This was the case in 1996, when couple Frank and Carol were out on a stroll in the town center. It was a sunny day, and Carol had decided that she wanted to celebrate the perfect date by buying a book at Waterstones, a large bookshop on Bold Street. As they approached the main street, Frank stopped at the local shop to get a snack. In there, he bumped into his longtime friend, and the two decided to have a chat. He told his wife to go on ahead without him. A moment later, Frank left and headed towards the bookstore. As he approached, he noticed something strange catch his eye. Above the store that would be Waterstones was a sign called Crips. While watching the sign in confusion, a van passed by and honked with the name Cardin's on the side. Several pedestrians also passed Frank at the same time. Frank noted how it was odd how the horn seemed vintage, and that men's fashion seemed a bit off. Men were wearing hats and macks, and women were dressed in headscarves, full skirts, and victory rolls, a hairstyle popular just after the war. As he looked around, Frank became more and more concerned. The modern 90s cars had shifted to designs popular in the 1950s, and any form of Frank's time seemed to be completely and utterly gone. Frank, as expected, started to become unnerved. The bookshop he had anticipated was strewn with handbags, shoes, and umbrellas. But he wasn't alone. Next to him, he saw a young woman looking up at the shop sign, wearing modern clothes. She was looking at the sign, equally confused. But when he broke her concentration, she looked up at him and smiled. He walked into the store, and the girl followed behind. When they entered the store, they were hit with a shock again. They were back in Waterstones. That's strange. I thought this was a clothes shop, the girl had noted to say, and walked away equally puzzled. Frank had found his wife, who asked where he went to make him gone so long. Frank didn't have an answer. But Frank's story wasn't the only one. Let me tell you about Imogen. Imogen was doing what every young adult girl was doing. She was buying maternity clothes for her recently pregnant sister. Since Liverpool offered so many shopping options, it seemed like a done deal. She wanted to go to the new mother care store, which had opened in the corner of Lord Street in Whitechapel. When she went to the store, she managed to get everything she needed: cardigans, baby bibs, and gloves. She was surprised at how cheap the items were and wondered if she should utilize it all to her benefit. However, she was a struggling young adult, a life we all know well, and decided to just buy what she aimed to buy. She handed her credit card to the team member, who stared at it in confusion. The team member left, got the manager, who told Imogen that they didn't take cards. Imogen didn't have any money because it's the 21st century, so she dejectedly left without buying anything. She went back to her home and told her mom the strange story. Her mother's reaction was focused on something else. There isn't a mother care on the corner of Lord Street in Whitechapel. That closed a long time ago. There's a bank there now, her mother said. Imogen couldn't grasp what she heard and proceeded to drag her mother all the way there to prove that she was right. To her surprise, she wasn't. Her mother was right. The bank was there, and Imogen didn't have anything to prove her time hop. The third and last story comes from Sean's shoplifting experience. While looking at an item at the store, Sean experienced the troubling act of sticky fingers and ran out of the store with the item he did not pay for. However, he did not come to his crime unnoticed, and the security guard came barreling after him. While trying to shake off the guard, Sean headed down Hanover Street and turned into a dead-end street called Brooks Alley. Panting and heaving, Sean anticipated the worst. He waited and waited for the guard to come around the corner. But he never did. Sean waited an extra 5 minutes, and no one came. Eventually, he came to the conclusion that Sean gave the guard a successful slip and decided to walk out and leave. However, the street that he was walking on wasn't the street that he was on originally. The road looked different, and the cars that were driving around looked old-fashioned. Even the road workers working on the street were gone. The people walking around were looking like beatniks and moths, and crossing over to Bold Street, he noticed busy traffic lights that weren't there before. Sean began to panic. Where was he? There was no film crews, no flash mobs, nothing, but he was in an area that was misplaced in time. He checked his cell phone, and it had no signal. He saw a kiosk and ran to it, only to be faced with the realization that he did travel back in time. The paper being sold said the current date, or the current date for that time, the 18th of May, 1967. What was he to do? How would he get back home? He was lost, and there was no way of getting back. Sean had walked until he reached a jewelry store called H. Samuel. He looked at his phone again, and to his surprise, he had a signal. He turned and saw himself back in the present. But, to his horror, at the end of the road, he saw people walking around in 1967. He had reached a pinnacle that connected the two, and like anyone else seeing and experiencing something so outstanding, so mind-boggling, he could not fathom it. Sean jumped onto the bus and went home. However, he was never silenced about his tale. Sean went through several interviews explaining the same story each and every time. And he wasn't alone. The security guard collaborated with his tale. See, the security guard had chased him all the way to the dead-end street. But when he got there, Sean had disappeared, like he fell into another world. Being lost is an inconvenience, but it's also an inconvenience that doesn't last forever. You might be lost, but you'll eventually find your way home. But these stories present the fearful idea that maybe, just maybe, there isn't any hope at the end of the tunnel. Maybe the darkest of times are just that, darkness. Maybe hope and joy will not come. For these three people, it did. They were once in a land that they did not know, and eventually found a light. However, there might be people that aren't so lucky. It's like that episode, Stopover in a Quiet Town in the Twilight Zone. In the episode, two people wake up in the world that isn't their comfort. Sterling states, "Most of us walking in the morning know exactly where we are. The rooster or alarm clock brings us out of sleep into familiar sights, sounds, aromas of home and the comfort of a routine day ahead. Not so with our young friends. This will be a day like none they've ever spent. They'll spend it in the Twilight Zone." I won't spoil it for you, but I'll say that these people do not find the light at the end of the tunnel. They get trapped in the darkness known as the Twilight Zone. The idea of them being lost in something that isn't what they know truly is frightening. So, when you walk the streets, pay attention for any person looking perplexed. They might be people lost in their own dark void. And you, yes you, might be the only light they have left. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on your podcast device. We're also on Spotify and Stitcher, so please join us there too. If you would like to have more than just free stuff, check out our Patreon. Nikki and I create special episodes for the one-time fee of $5. We also offer merch, shoutouts, and other deals as well. If you want to represent us, please check out our next merch store on TeePublic. We offer many exclusive Tales of Two Cities items, as well as other items from other artists all over the world. If you want to talk, write to us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or on our email at talesofthe2citiespodcast.com. We love to hear from you, and we generally love telling your stories on our podcast as well. But, above all, and most importantly, thank you for listening to this episode.